Being a man. Oh yeah.
Well, I don't know. You know, this subject came to me because, you know, there is absolutely nothing with a man crying, right? I have absolutely no problem with it.
Oh, me neither.
But
Oh, in a minute.
but my deal would be, you know, what we used to call as kids crying over spilled milk. In other words,
Right.
just crying just to cry. I
Okay.
mean, you see these people, they come on the news, they come on all these different deals, and they're sitting there crying over, you know, everybody should own a fucking Prius and a Tesla because they're crying for the, you know, the fucking weasels who aren't, you know, making it in the Amazon. I don't know, just some of the craziest shit you hear. You know, tree gets cut down and you see a whole, you know, and I'm all
Right.
about, you know, I've always said I think Republicans fight the wrong fight, saying, yeah, no climate change. I mean, who the fuck doesn't want cleaner air? But that's a whole nother story, a
Right.
whole nother podcast. But
man,
you know,
man.
dealing with, to me, a lot of these people, these men out there are just crying for crying's sake, and it's like, wait, I mean, it's almost like a kid. You have a kid, and they start fake crying,
Yes.
and then you call them on it, and like that, it's over.
Mm.
But I think if you don't teach that as a kid, you know, as their children, they see that as a ploy. But now people are going to pay attention to me if I'm crying.
Okay.
By the way, I'm not going to pay attention.
Right.
If you're crying for absolutely no reason, I mean, we're not going to name the kids that I have that used to cry over losing video games, and you're literally crying. And I would look at them and be like, you do realize you're crying over a video game.
What do you mean, like a lost video game?
Well, like you would take away somebody's video game. You know, oh, you weren't acting right, so I'm
Oh,
going to take your Xbox.
okay.
You know, and literally
Ooh,
break
man.
down in tears
Okay.
over it.
I probably was
mean,
that kid.
Vaughn, but have you ever, as a man,
I ain't never had my game taken away.
the World of
That meant
Warcraft,
the world to me.
if the World of
Oh,
Warcraft
man.
went online, would you be like, I can't believe this shit?
If they weren't,
Like if it crashed for a day.
no, they have on Tuesdays. On Tuesdays, yeah, on Tuesdays they have maintenance where they shut it completely down.
So is that
It
that
fucking
Vaughn's
sucked.
cry day?
No, back when I was playing it all the time. Yeah, you know, because you get in a roll and a rhythm of it, and then all of a sudden they stop. Yeah, that's my boy right there.
You know I'm gonna throw that up there. He
Yo.
would LOL.
No, John.
Oh, John
No,
in the
John.
building.
John Wood. John is
Oh,
a
John Wood.
master. He is a
John Wood.
This guy. This is my like favorite World of Warcraft guy. Like for real.
Okay.
He knows absolutely everything. John probably has, out of all the mounts on the game, he probably has. Yeah, it's ridiculous, dude. I don't know how many mounts they have in the game, like riding mounts, but he probably has all of them.
Well, I'll just say I'm totally ignorant to Minecraft.
Man, it was
Not
World of
Minecraft,
Warcraft.
World of
Don't
Warcraft.
be disrespectful.
Yeah.
Let's not be
Wow.
disrespectful.
They're
I do
compared. Yeah,
apologize.
dude. One's like
I do
little
apologize.
tiny
Yeah,
do
let's
builder
apologize.
kids. The other
Let's
one's
not be disrespectful.
the other one's murder, death, kill.
Yeah.
All right,
Oh.
so we'll go around just on that
Okay.
of what it means, because then I actually do want to reverse that. So Mafio,
Yeah.
how do you view that? I mean, a grown ass man crying over spilled milk. I don't really think Bond cries over World of Warcraft. So,
Absolutely
How
not.
do I think of
but
it?
I do have some feelings about it.
oh well, let's go. Let's get them feelings in.
No. Go ahead, Mafia.
I mean, I don't have a problem because the first thing that came to my mind was government and the president and this
Yeah, go ahead, man. Yeah.
State of the Union. I'm sorry. Yeah, but anyway.
Well, Hillary Clinton didn't get elected, and there was an entire room full of people crying.
Oh.
You know, because she had her deal at the place in New York, and it was glass. The ceiling was glass, and the whole thing was, you know, breaking the glass ceiling. But as it goes, you know, as it moves on, you know, they find out she's not going to win, and it's literally a glass room with nothing but people crying.
So did the glass steam up?
It should have just didn't. And now I'm not going to say it.
Okay, so getting back to being a man, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And so tell me what it is, what angle you want me to go at. with being a man because I'm here now.
I want
You look like
mafia
you're
ain't on.
engaged.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I want
You ready to
whatever.
roll.
Well, my point to begin with is what do you? All right, how about we do? We're gonna do this as questions.
Yeah.
So you're out and about,
Mhm.
and let's say you got the last of something. You're at a restaurant, you get the last of something.
Mhm.
Dude comes up after you. You don't know. I mean, you know he didn't get what he wanted.
Okay.
You know, because I don't want you to get into I'd give him mine if I started crying. I don't want to get into that.
Come on, man. You know me, bro.
That's why I said I don't want to
Right.
get involved in
No,
the
I'm just-
I just give you mine, man, since you're such a. Because to me, I'd be like, man, quit being a bitch.
Okay. Okay.
But you know, and starts crying because that person, that man, doesn't get what he wants.
Okay. Okay. So
Do you think that's all right? Do you think man crying just because he didn't get the fucking corn dog? There you go. You're at the fair. No more corn dog. What's that famous corn dog?
Fletcher's.
Fletcher's. Ain't no more Fletcher's corn dog.
How
Man
you know
breaks
I
down
know?
and cry.
because I got the,
How did you know I know? He looked right at me, didn't he?
so I got the last Fletcher's corn dog.
No. You didn't get it because you'd give it to him. I don't even want to get into that. You're like two behind him. That way you're not involved in the
Okay, I'm
actual.
two behind him.
Yeah.
Great
yeah.
point. Great point. Okay.
So now, what does it go here? You can't negotiate with Fletcher's. They already shut the deal
shut
down
the
because
deal.
that would have
Yeah,
been
yeah,
the
yeah,
next
yeah.
thing.
Yeah,
Is
yeah,
what
yeah.
time are you gonna have it, dude? If you come back this time, I'll buy you a corn dog. I know how mafia gonna be. What I'm trying to say is, you have no control. There's absolutely nothing physically that you can do. Are you okay with that man crying over not getting that corn dog?
I'm indifferent. If there's nothing physically,
All
I
right,
can
now
do
we're gonna
nor
move on
vocally
because
say-
he's indifferent. Because that don't mean shit.
I can explain. I'm indifferent because if there's nothing physically I can do, as in giving him a corn dog, can I verbally say something to him?
Yeah, but you can say, hey man, let's go get an ice cream and cry together.
I mean, shit. I ask him, man. Of course, it's situational.
It's a
so I'll have
grown
to say-
ass man crying over a corn dog.
So let me get this right. So we are discussing the definition of a man. What's your definition of it?
No, we're really not. I mean, what we're doing is I am about fed up with hearing about these grown ass men crying over spilled milk. That's the way I view it. If you're crying over a video game, you're crying over spilled milk. You remember? I mean, you grew up in the same day and age. I'm assuming you probably heard that. You know.
Oh yeah, we didn't have a lot of. Yeah, you didn't get to express a lot of emotions in my generation.
Which was a
crying.
bad thing. I
Yes,
believe.
it was.
I think
Yeah,
that
it
was. A bad
was.
thing.
Yeah, crying is for girls and blah blah blah.
Oh, and-
But it did have its positives too. It made you tougher in a lot of instances. You know, it wasn't a lot of. You know, I'm not saying there was a lack of love there. You know, because I got my hugs and pats, but you definitely, you know, knew that, you know, some things came with the territory. You know,
But see, I grew up. Children are to be seen, not heard.
absolutely.
There were no love and hugs in my family.
There wasn't no going back and forth either in conversations either.
There
all.
was no conversation.
Right. It was,
And if
hey,
you
you do what the
started
fuck I tell
crying-
you to do.
If you started crying, my dad's
Yeah.
famous words were, "If you're gonna cry, I'm gonna give you a reason to cry."
Absolutely.
He wasn't playing.
Your dad was black. That sounds like some of the black households.
That's
didn't
my
it?
mama word.
Yeah, that's a Zach word.
You want to cry? Yeah, I'm gonna give you a reason to cry. You want to cry over something
Yeah.
stupid like that? I'm gonna give you.
Yeah.
You got these kids who are in high school, and of course that deals with some of the stuff that we have and we talked about in coping mechanisms. But you know, they get a B. They're used to being a straight A student. They start breaking down crying because they got a B. What the fuck you crying for? You know, I get it if you failed the class or. Nope, my parents would invite people over. We were not. Yeah, no, that's right. Oh, you weren't even allowed to be seen. Well,
Oh, you talking about when your parents' friends
I'm
come
gonna tell you
over?
right now, my
Oh,
my
yeah.
dad had a, you know, you're gonna see my family, but you're not gonna hear from that little shit over there. I mean that
Oh
was
no, you didn't. Once your mom and dad told you to go to your room upstairs or something, it wasn't no coming back down.
but that's different. But you had to present yourself. So, for
Yeah.
example, when I
You
mean,
speak.
here's
Hello,
how
bye.
I answered the phone. Right, Whiteside resident Zach speaking. My
Really?
entire childhood, it was so weird to get used to when I'm sitting there answering my grandmother's phone.
That was standard.
Whiteside resident Zach speaking. Oh yeah, no, when you answered that phone, Whiteside resident Zach speaking.
That's super cool.
How was that cool? I'm a little bitty ass kid going. Speaking.
Because
Going through puberty. Get a little older. I'm a grown man. I'm not living there anymore. I'm sitting here picking up a phone.
now I think that's cool because like what I'm used to or what I was coached in. Hello.
Yeah, there was no hello.
Hello.
Mm-mm. Nope.
Word.
There was no hello in my house.
And that's
Welcome
why I
to
think
Joe's
it's cool.
Taxidermy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and again because I like adversity.
You stab him, we
I-
slap him.
I
you
embrace
go.
adversity. But to answer your question about like I think like with me. So my mom again was that disciplinarian.
I don't know. I don't want to go
always right when she's
childhood.
wrong.
I don't want to go
Not
child.
childhood.
We're gonna go back. I want to circle around to the childhood side of that.
Okay.
My deal is how you view them, not where it comes from,
Okay.
which I want to get.
Right
We're
now.
gonna do.
Right now.
But if you're watching somebody whose political party loses and they cry, somebody who
Depends on why they crying. They probably crying they lost some money.
no. I take that completely out. They didn't lose money. Their feelings are hurt.
They bet who
The
gonna win.
point where I'm trying to get here is just because somebody's feelers are hurt, do you think in something that literally doesn't, it's not like we're not talking about parents and grandparents dying. We're not talking about the loss of a person. We're not talking about that. I'm talking about you don't get your Fletcher's corny dog and you break into tears and you're so fucking sad that you're going to sit there and cry about. And there are people that have that. Valet doesn't get their car fast enough or whatever, and it's a grown ass man sitting there crying.
I think that's about privilege though. That can be tied into that too. What type of service you feel like you type that you deserve, and your status. You get that more so out of statuses or people acting a fool because you didn't get a Popeye's chicken sandwich at the height of the Popeye's chicken sandwich, and the guy gets shot in the face in Popeye's because.
And that deals
yeah,
with
you
coping
skipped me.
mechanisms.
Yeah,
So instead of
that's good.
crying about it, you're going to shoot somebody.
Yeah.
We got a lot
that's
of that.
Right.
We got a lot of
and,
that.
Now for me,
Yes.
it would be a split second decision as when I play linebacker to say, okay, can I help or hurt this situation? And that's where I would go from that because it goes
Well, you
back
can't
to
help it. The corny dogs are gone.
the corny dogs are gone. But what about my words of whatever?
You're telling me that you think you have words to a bitch man crying over a corn dog.
I feel I
That are
possess that
gonna
superpower.
Yeah.
But that's still, but it's
I'm
all
being honest.
subjective though
I'm being
too.
honest.
It's
Yeah.
still all
It is.
subjective at that point, and you got to think if you were to say something to somebody these days, now you got an altercation.
And that's what I mean about that split second assessment of if
Yeah.
I can or if I can't.
Little bitty 30-something-year-old, nothing. I mean, he doesn't. I mean, let's just assume. So you would engage somebody who's crying? Because see, for me, I would
I wouldn't engage anybody.
suck it up, Buttercup. Come on, man. It's a fucking corn dog. Go get yourself a
Yeah.
hamburger. Come back tomorrow and get you a corn dog.
Bam! He fights you.
I
Now-
wouldn't
now it's a
engage
fight.
any. I wouldn't
But
engage.
I wouldn't have engaged anyway. In the back of my now, wait a minute. I'm gonna take it back. Time out. Because in my 20s, yeah, I'd have been like,
Okay, but
man,
we're
why
not
are you
talking
acting like a
20s.
bitch?
Now we're
It's a
not
fucking corn dog.
We're gonna get to the 20s though, right?
Well, no, but that's what I was saying. But my reaction now is I would probably laugh a little bit internally
Okay.
and hope that it doesn't come externally. I'd be like, hopefully it wouldn't come out.
And
I would hope it wouldn't. But that's just stupid to me. You have people who break bones, they cry.
I get it.
You have people who lose a parents, they cry. Lose a child, child goes to war, whatever. There are reasonable reasons, breakups, you're with somebody, the loss of a girlfriend, and again, we're concentrating on the men's side. Some dude watching The Notebook burst out crying.
It may have resonated somewhere. It may have, It may have went back to something that made him remember. It may have reminded him of his dead mom or something. You never
And
know.
see, and I was just about to say again, it's a situational thing because
Yeah.
what if this guy, you know what I'm saying, he's crying and he's ranting and he's like, man, I just wanted that last corn dog for my grandfather over
No,
there.
no, no,
that's
no, no.
93
See, you
years old,
turned it into something else.
But it's
that corn dog.
situational.
No, that corn dog was for. I knew you would like get. Maybe it was for his grandchild that was from Ukraine that came here after her parents were bombed. I get that there. I'm talking about that man. That man's corn dog.
So-
that is it. Not
again-
not that there's a whole gammy sitting over there and wants fucking corn dog.
And see,
Not talking about that.
Yes.
And again, it gets back to like other topics we've talked about or situations where, you know, my perception may not be his reality. What I'm cultured in to say, don't be a bitch ass. Well, damn, you know what I'm saying? I don't know him like that. And
Right.
I can't be opinionated for the sake of my joy, my personal joy and happiness. Like I would,
But I'm talking.
and I'm
Again, I go back, and it's nothing but the man's corn. I've tried to hone this down so we didn't talk about Gammy, and corn dog. This corn, and it's only because he wanted a corn dog. He didn't get his
for
corn
himself.
dog.
He didn't get it.
That was it. No emotional. There's no. My grandfather passed away. None of that shit. None of that is applied. It's
But how
simply.
do you know that?
no, because I'm not.
How do you know that as the person that's two people,
But
two people back watching this person?
But I don't know
How-
that.
yeah.
But no. But I'm saying
He's
if we
hyp-
know those
Hypothetical.
facts.
Yeah.
If we know the fact that all it is, it's simply he wanted one, that was it, and he's crying over a corn dog.
I may have to treat him like
literally crying, or just bitching and complaining.
No. Bet you complain's a different deal. Well, it
So you-
depends on how your tone of your voice. Is it, hey man, what the hell? What's going on? Or is it, oh my god, where's my corn dog? I ate this
I don't know
woman."
if I've seen that before. I'm not sure if
I've seen that in situations.
I don't know if I've seen pure bitch assness. Now I don't know. I don't know. For me, if I see somebody, I mean, it's got to be emotional. If anybody's in an emotional state, I don't interfere with that at all.
So you don't try to heal it. He's gonna
No.
try to heal it.
No,
possibly.
and like it's all subjective and depending on the situation. You know what I mean? If we talking about this corn dog,
Yes.
if we talking about a situation like that, I don't know if I've ever seen that. Now, if I was the person that was up at the line and they closed it on me,
I'm gonna
Yeah.
tip that bitch over.
especially if you at the fair and that long as that fucking line is, and I waited up here and all you got is hard wee and bubble gum left when I get there. Yeah, I'm gonna be pretty pissed off. But not so much to where I can't make the adjustment. But I don't know, man. I'm just trying to think of a situation that resonates with me that's similar to something like that where I just seen a guy being a pure like
Bitch.
but that's still in my opinion because I don't know what this person in this situation is,
So you don't think that a person like that should approach it? I mean, no matter what the situation, and yeah, we grew up different, and I believe with my grandmother, I learned, I always say this, if you look at the spectrum of how I learned, my dad was like over here, and my grandfather was over here, but my grandmother was right here in the middle. So instead of going, full, pussy over here, and just suck it up and be a man.
Yeah, you
my
got somebody that's a voice of reason.
right? But my
there.
grandmother would sit there and
She's swaying, huh?
she would sway and say, "Look, you're right. You have to look at the situation, but you can't cry over spilt milk. You can't cry because
can't.
you didn't. You don't cry.
You don't.
because you don't get a corn dog.
You don't.
No, you don't cry because you
You
don't get a
don't.
corn dog.
You don't. He did.
John, do you cry because you can't get moved?
John may
Let's
not.
see what John has
The
to
whole
say.
damn
John cries.
listening
John cries over
platform
World
may
of
not
Warcraft.
cry, but he did.
You ought to hear the bitching and complaining that's on there. Yeah, and some of the guys they play with. Yeah, you ought to see some real bitch asses. In
just
my opinion.
And see,
And
inside,
just over a video game.
Well, it gets pretty. That's what I'm saying. Some stuff gets pretty serious, man.
But
It's like,
in
some
the end,
people-
it's still a video.
well,
But
it
in the
is
end-
still a video game,
Okay.
but it's important to them, and
Yes.
so we can't tell somebody. You can't dictate what's important to somebody.
right.
You know what I
What
mean?
they value and
and what
things of
they
that nature.
value. So I stay out of that. If somebody's, I keep my opinions to myself. You know, because I don't know. I wouldn't want somebody impede on me, especially if I'm really emotional about something. You know what I mean? It's like you don't get to tell me to shut the fuck up or something like that.
So
I
give
think-
us an example.
So, okay.
I'm just saying. I'm saying for me, I'm usually a guy that's even keel, so it takes a lot for me to get emotional to go all the way left to right on stuff. So if I've gotten to that point where I've gotten like overly outside of my box, that means something then pushed me to that point, and I might do something that I wouldn't normally do it in that state when I'm over here. You know what I'm saying? And something might trigger me, and so I just I think I try to keep a lot of stuff to myself, and it can always go back to growing up and how Mafia can approach people and how you guys don't get the questions like we get, so I have to make sure that I'm in a good place before I get in, before I go to places that I know I'm going to get those questions and stuff. I had to make sure that I'm in a good spiritual place, because if I don't, I'll be snappy on people real quick.
All right, last
And if I may-
example.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
We have our last example. And again, I'm just trying to gauge this before
Mm-hmm.
we move on. So you're sitting in the back to the movie theater.
Movie
you're
theater.
watching The Notebook.
Okay, here we go. All
Dude,
right.
dude just
All
starts crying. We know for a fact that this has nothing to do. He is literally only, so don't start talking about, well, maybe this happened to him or maybe this ain't do. We know for a fact he is literally crying over the movie. Nothing more. It's
Notebook. That is that love story deal, right?
Huh?
I've never seen the Notebook.
It's actually really good.
So why did you watch it?
Never
Oh
mind.
no, it's a good movie.
So why did you watch it? That's what I'm saying.
I watch a lot of movies.
No, why'd you watch the Notebook? No,
Because
no,
it came up.
Nuh-uh.
It comes up, it gets
Uh-uh.
released. I'm like, I'm gonna watch
No,
it.
but
right,
you
good.
already knew. it was an
Let's just
emotional
say
movie.
it's
Get back
about
to your example.
it's
We're in
about
the theater. I would.
it's about gaining and losing a girl.
It's a love story.
Yes,
Yeah,
it
so
is.
What you
Okay.
doing
No,
watching
but-
love stories?
All right.
You don't watch love
Yeah.
stories? Come on,
There's
man.
no love in my heart.
All right. So you fool. of
I'm just
Yeah,
lying.
he's full of shit.
I'm
I
just
know
saying.
that
So
one.
how
Back
do
to
you?
your scenario? Back
If
to
you're
your
watching
scenario.
a love story,
Yeah.
if you agreed in your mind to watch a love story, you already emotional.
Nah.
Shit, bullshit. You watch movies because they resonate with you.
Yes, John, I saw the Notebook by myself.
Did y'all watch Broke?
by my motherfucking self.
Now that
It
was
is a
very
good
distinctive
movie.
because
Yeah,
I had
The
a question
Notebook?
about that. but
How you gonna
anyway,
get? That's what I'm saying. So did you watch Brokeback Mountain?
I have
Did you
seen
watch
that.
Brokeback Mountain?
I have.
So
seen
you're
that.
gay. I've never
have-
watched Brokeback
oh.
Mountain.
I think
Nah.
I have ran across that. I can't say.
Oh man, do you know what it is?
I don't.
Oh
Two
shit!
cowboys.
Uh,
Cowboys.
It was a love story between
yeah.
two men,
maybe,
basically.
okay, maybe I did. Maybe I heard the time.
Yeah.
I'm just being honest.
Now he's taking it back.
No, I'm not taking it back. I'm being honest.
I'm gonna
I
take
mean,
that
if I
out.
seen it, I seen
Roll that bitch back. Roll it back.
it. If I seen it, I seen it. I've heard.
It's like that Homer Simpson
I've
gift where
heard
he's
the
just
title.
backing it into
If
the
you
bushes.
seen it, you seen it.
Okay.
You would know.
Maybe I've heard the topic in conversation.
All right, but we go back. It's a story. It's a love story.
Oh,
Gain
my
and
God.
loss, gain and loss of a love story.
Okay.
And he's crying just because it's a love story and he thinks it's sad. No, he has no Mafia. Before you say maybe he went through it, he hasn't gone through it. Absolutely nothing. It's just the point of a love story. He thinks it's sad.
My response
Yes.
to you is, what's wrong with that?
I can hear this motherfucker crying.
Leave.
Why would I leave a movie I paid to get into?
So what you gonna do?
But he's crying because it makes him it makes him
Whatever
takes,
the reason is.
Yeah, but I'm saying you got to think if you have agreed to watch that movie, there's something in you that resonates with that movie.
No. I already took the resonating out.
Let me make
It
No,
this
has
I'm
clear.
saying-
nothing to do with
Emotions are tied to.
he's
to
married
things.
to his high school sweetheart. They've been married, and just so you know, we fast forward 100 years, they're still married. They die simultaneously holding hands.
That's fucking beautiful.
Well, but that's
Right.
my point. Well, and it's kind of like I had one of my kids, you know, and I wasn't a fan of his fiance and his girlfriend, and they were like, "Oh, well, you're against us getting married," and I'm like, "Well, yeah, I'm against you getting married, but in the end, you know, I hope you guys live happily ever after. I hope you die holding hands at the age of 100." You know, it's not that part of it. It was I don't believe you're old enough to be getting married. That was the
And that's
example.
fine.
But now we're going into something
So,
else.
yeah, because I really want to know, get into your scenario, what is wrong with someone crying? Just answer the question. Now, again, if it is something wrong, you got to remember who you're talking to because I am always self-assessing myself.
But there's
my
nothing
attitude,
wrong.
My
You
attitude and my
can't
reaction
inject
towards
it. I've
any
already
and
told
everything.
you.
But it's who I am. If I can't fix the problem, then man, I'm gonna have to deal with it.
You
until
can't fix every problem.
I can fix it for myself.
How
That's
you
the
gonna
difference.
fix that man crying for yourself?
I could tune him out like my mom tuned me out when I was being a whatever you want to call crybaby. You know what I'm saying? And I have the ability
Wait a
to
minute.
focus.
Your mom tuned you out?
What?
Shit, my dad slapped the shit out of me. There's how you crying. You want to keep crying?
I
Whoop
think-
out. You want to keep going? Whoop
I
out.
think there's a definite advantage to having, you know, both parents because, you know, our dads are usually, you know, kind of tough, but our moms are usually the voice of reason. But my mom was tough, and she was the voice of reason too. So it's just something about women that, you know, when they're raising boys, they can, especially if they're tough too, and they're able to give you both sides to kind of, you know, balance you out. You know.
So we'll go back. Let's get to that then.
Okay.
So as kids,
As
you
kids, yes.
you had your mom, and
Yeah.
you know, and she was both ends of, you know,
She had to
I'm gonna
be.
give you a pat on the back, but I'm also gonna whoop your ass.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, my mom, you know, that good country background. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Go pick your own switch.
Suck
you get
it
the
up,
smallest
Buttercup.
one, and you think it's the right thing.
Suck
to
it
do.
up.
Hey,
Yeah.
suck it
We
up.
grew up fast and early, man. Like my field was like riding the bus 6, 7 years old.
So
Tough.
Did you do chores?
Hell yeah.
At what
Absolutely.
age did you start doing chores?
Man, I can't remember how long ago.
Right.
It was always we was working at an early age. We was given responsibilities early and was expected to do them at a certain, you know, level, and it was a standard there. If not, there was always that physical element there to get your ass whooped. Okay, I think everybody was scared of Mama. Yeah, she was so sweet, but man, she flipped. That's it, dog. It's like, nah, I'm not fucking with her. Yeah, I got tired of those ass whoopings. So, but you know, I like Marfield was saying, I think it's just impossible to detach your DNA from.
I don't know. I won't go there yet. We're gonna go back to it.
Well, I'm just saying,
So
just
do
the
you
situation.
ever remember telling your mom no?
What?
Hell no.
Under my breath?
No. So
I think
No,
she'll
we
find
didn't
out.
have
but
we didn't
that-
have a voice
but
then.
that- no. But as a
Our
as a
choice.
2-year-old, at some point you
We
probably
had
said
shit.
it. But
Hell no.
no. But
No.
my point is, at some point you learn that wasn't okay, and you don't remember. And this sounds bad because I do this and associate, but it's like, you know, punishing a dog. Izzy does not remember why she doesn't go to the bathroom in the house. She just knows she doesn't. You know, when you have little dogs, and you know, most people don't realize that dogs that don't have tails, the minute they're born, they cut it off, put a stitch in it, and they're done. The dog doesn't ever remember it got a tail cut off. I don't ever remember telling my dad no, which means I know at some point as a child I probably did, and was taught so early that that was not okay,
Right.
that I just never did it. I didn't backtalk. I just knew. I said yes sir, no sir, yes ma'am, no ma'am. I don't remember where it started. I know a few times that I had hiccups and my dad would go, "I'm sorry, what'd you say? What?" I remember those conversations. It was very rare. I don't even remember where Whiteside resident, Zach speaking, I don't know where that came from. I just knew that I had to do it.
Training.
Training.
Right, but
Being cultured
it's doing
into
it early.
Yeah.
And it
So,
but with that, it's also about having a balance.
but at the same time, everyone may not have a balance though. You understand what I'm saying?
But we're
'Cause
not
we take
talking
this-
about
Go ahead. Go ahead.
we're saying we're trying to talk about how we should or how that balance comes about. You know, he had a mom who was both a disciplinarian but also hug, pat you, kiss you on the cheek.
Absolutely.
I was the polar opposite until I was, older. I didn't have anybody who was now don't get me wrong, and I don't want to say that wrong. My dad had my back. And my dad was one of those people, you see him in plain clothes and you would think he was nobody. But the moment it's like he sat up straight, everything when he put on his uniform. So, I had a biology teacher and, I was failing. And my dad goes, what are you doing? I'm like, he's not teaching in class. And I showed him the curriculum. And the guy was, matter of fact, he was hugging trees for 2 weeks and we had a substitute teacher. But all he did was you brought in an article and he wanted to talk about the environment in the article. So he wasn't teaching the class. And my dad went up there and said, I've seen your curriculum. I know you're not. And matter of fact, the teacher was so afraid of my dad that he told me I didn't have to come to class anymore. And he'd give me a B. But it wasn't that he didn't have my back. It's that I didn't have that. I did with the first Debbie. I had that. But once that was over, there was no... Debbie number 2 enjoyed being cruel, and it was just backed up by my dad.
And what's that? That you didn't have that. What was that?
Oh, the first Debbie, if I got spanked, she was the, well, Zachary, but your dad loves you.
Okay,
and,
so she was
she was the mother.
Okay,
Matter of fact, I for the most part, I consider her the mother foundation until my grandmother.
Okay.
And then my grandmother,
Okay.
I think you always have to have those calming words. That's what my mom is for me. I can always hear her talking to me, in situations. And so, not my dad, my mom. So I think it's good to have balance, and that affects how you go into situations too. And so I think I get a lot of that. I guess what do you call it? I'm just really even keel guy. I don't. It take a lot to get me like that. So even if you comment at me, I know how to kind of diffuse it. It's like, okay, you don't really want to go there.
Well, and that's what I want to stay away from as a comment. But I do want to address childhood. So take us through how you had your mom, obviously, but how that worked for you and Mafio. How'd that work for you?
Okay, so for me, again, my mom was that disciplinarian, right when she's wrong, her way of the highway type mentality. I would get disciplined, and let me just say this, and I was thinking about this as you all were talking. Me and my mom, it wasn't that lovey-dovey, kiss you, hug you, kiss you. I felt that it was a business. It was a partnership. She had a job to raise me, and I had a job to grow up. And that was my mom's relationship. And so outside of my mom building all the structure that she did for my discipline, my responsibility, accountability, independence, I had a whole host of family members that really empathized with me because of the way my mom disciplined me. So they were my sounding board, my counseling, my opportunity to vent. So I had a great balance through it.
You had a nice little village around.
Yes,
you.
exactly.
Yeah.
So when it came to things like self-esteem, when it came to sense of self, I got that at a very young age, a very early age. And I say all that because I question about the gentleman with the corn dog.
Yeah.
I question that
Then we
about
had a question
the
too.
gentleman with in the movie Crying Night. Not that it's a bad thing, but did they have a balance, or was it some type of imbalance emotionally,
Yeah.
psychologically, or what have you? So I'm not quick to judge either. Like, I give everyone the benefit of the doubt.
Absolutely.
Y'all know
you
me.
have to.
I
man.
respect people for who they are and where they're at.
Right.
Y'all know me on that. So when it comes to making a quick decision, quick second judgment or decision, I'm not finna shit on nobody just
No,
because
but
they
nobody's like-
reacting in a
But see, you're acting
different
like
kind
I'm
of
gonna
way.
shit on the person.
Well, you said you
I-
finna. You might.
I'm a
say
laugh.
something.
No. I told you my 20-self-year-old would have been like, quit acting like a bitch.
Okay.
My older self would have hopefully internally laughed and not laughed outwardly.
My point exactly. So again, it goes back to the psychological aspect. If we become what we think about most of the time, Earl Nightingale. If you had the thought that you would react in some kind of way, it was a reaction. It just wasn't put out into the ether.
I just can't handle people who cry over nothing.
You can't.
There's a lot of people. It doesn't make any sense. You know, again, you lose a family member, something's going on in your life. You know, that's a different story. And you know, my grandmother passed away, and that is a, you know, she was the foundation. And I actually wrote a post because I created her little Facebook, and I wrote a post. It probably took me 45 minutes to write something. It normally would take somebody 5 minutes to write.
Right.
You know, just because I was tied so much to my grandmother.
Yeah.
You know, the picture was of her, my grandfather taking it, you know, and it was the essence of her elegance. I mean, my grandmother was, you know, one of the things she used to say when you watch these movies, you know, we'd watch old Bing Crosby movies together. And she'd say, you know, nowadays you can't even sit down and watch TV with somebody because it's nothing but tampon commercials, yeast infections. And she's like,
It was the going thing. They had to market it, you know.
Yeah.
but she's like, you can't even, how do you even do that? She's like, you know, scenes for us when we were watching movies, and of course we watched a ton of them, where, you know, they were standing in front of the fireplace, they embrace and kiss, and it fades away to the fireplace. You know what happens.
Nah, I don't know what happened.
Oh
Bow,
yeah.
chicken, bow, bow.
Yeah.
You know what happens. Oh, I'm sorry. You have to see
Abuse?
the sex.
Was it spousal
No,
abuse?
no, you got to see the sex. So we'll go. Mafio has to see the actual
Yeah, they
thing
live-
going on.
Hey.
They left a
But
lot
you
to
can
the
do
they,
yes,
They left a lot to the imagination then.
yes.
Yes.
Because if they wake up the next morning in the same bed, you know what happened.
Yeah.
They spent the night together.
Sure, you want yeah, so, but you know, it was that my grandmother was, to me, that bit of elegance. You know, not that she didn't have. I mean, I never asked. I have no doubt she probably did. But you know, premarital, the whole whatever.
Yeah.
But that was something that I get. You know, your parent passes away. You know, somebody who's a foundation in your life.
Yeah.
That's different. You know, kids, the whole 9 yards.
Yeah.
You know, even if something were to happen, if a child would break a leg, I can see that happening. You know, I can see, you know, you get into a car wreck and the emotion of what could have happened. You know, everybody's fine. You got rear-ended, but 3 inches away from you, you see that an 18-wheeler is stopped, and you're like, my God, you know, this is, and your kids are in the car. You know, this, you could literally have, you know, that is a different story, a heightened deal.
Okay.
But sitting in a movie theater crying because you're not getting it, literally just because you're not. So if we take the Fletcher's thing out, you're literally crying because you didn't get what you wanted. Well, how does, I mean, life is full of things that you don't get what you want. So if you're crying
Absolutely.
over something like that, and so I'm gonna go first in the next part of this.
If I may,
But that corn, I'm sorry, but
Yeah,
that
go ahead.
corn dog is a different representation in everybody's life. So it can look like a corn dog to one of us. You know what I mean? But it's really serious to them.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So that weight is different, and so I give everybody.
I got it.
I give.
I hold on. I'm gonna toss that up there. So
Uh-oh.
I'm gonna
Jackie's
be
getting in
honest
touch
with
his
you.
feelings.
I'm in touch with my feelings,
No,
but
you don't.
I'm not gonna cry over a corn dog.
Did you cry in the Notebook?
No,
What-
because it's not sad to me. I mean, I get it. It's a sad story for them, but
Give me
their
a
story
sad
doesn't
movie.
apply to
Give me a sad movie you've watched that touched your feelings. Let's.
I don't know.
Hey, why you think?
That's
why
how
you think-
we trying to
Go
see
ahead.
if he can get in touch with him.
I don't.
Ooh.
Uh-oh.
Ding, 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 ding. Hey, Zach, but no,
Probably
seriously.
gonna get in trouble for that one.
Uh-oh.
Seriously though. Uh-oh. I would like to respond to something you said about the guy in the movie theater. You said, I don't understand. And I realized at that point, my personality, I would like to understand. See
Why
the
would you
difference?
Why would you want to understand somebody who's literally crying? Because I've already told you, you know all the history.
It's
you,
just
you
my
know everything about
psychological
him.
makeup because I'm in
But
touch
I'm
with
telling
myself.
you why he's
And I'ma
crying.
tell you,
He's crying because of the movie. He feels that the movie's sad.
maybe
I don't know.
that's
I
your
don't-
interpretation.
No, I already told you. No. I have, and see, I did this intentionally
Yes.
so that you couldn't imply things that aren't there.
So
the
we
corn
can't
dog was
imply,
that-
but you can.
I'm not. No. I'm
Or you just
actually
giving me a scenario?
stripping. Yes.
You're stripping
I'm
it down to the
stripping
bare
it-
to the bare
yes.
bones.
We literally know.
If he literally
married
cried
his
on-
he married his high school sweetheart. We know his future. We whatever that little dude.
Yeah.
We know he's gonna die at 100 years old, holding the woman who's sitting right next to me. He's gonna end up holding her hand. They've never been through this.
Yes.
He doesn't have any friends, his family, nobody. He has no attachment. He's literally crying because the movie is sad. It's not sad about his life. It's just sad in general.
But we don't know his reason for crying. Is what
Because
I'm
he
trying to
thinks
tell
no,
you.
I'm telling you why he's crying. I'm literally giving you every ounce
did
of
he
information.
say that?
Yes,
He said that.
You know this.
Okay, so did you?
No, you don't have
No,
to. ask.
he's
because
giving
me,
he's-
I'm not-
This is the high. I wasn't in the movie theater watching The Notebook and somebody started crying.
I get it.
I'm
I get
making a point. Hell, I could have picked it. He was watching Guardians of the Galaxy and watched the tree died and got sad.
But there's a reason for
How about
his
that one?
sadness.
Groot.
There's a
I
reason
am
for
Groot.
his sadness. And But what I'm trying to say is,
Chad may have shed a tear for Groot,
No, I did. I was sad about that though.
but you can be sad, and there is absolutely
was.
nothing wrong with that.
I was. I do. We are emotional beings. It's impossible to take me away from my emotion. Because it's in me.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It's in me, and I learned that from my dad. That it's okay to be fucking emotional if
Yeah.
you want to be.
Yeah.
Not so much to the point that you a bitch with it. You know what I mean?
No doubt.
Yeah, it's okay. You know what I'm saying? It's okay. My dad cried, man. He would cry with me. You know about stuff, man. That's how much when you care about something enough. When you care about something enough.
Well, okay, rather
you
than
need to lock
comment,
Zach
I'm
in a
gonna,
room. What is it?
so I'm gonna tell you right now.
All right, John.
Disney
No, that's
movies.
Keisha.
Oh,
I'm
Keisha.
gonna tell you right now. I have watched every Disney. You have not seen a Disney movie that I haven't seen. I got 2 granddaughters. I have from. There is not a Disney movie that I don't. I'm a subscriber to Disney Plus.
You seen Aladdin?
Yes,
The
both
black
of
ver-
them.
the black
He says
version.
No, both of them.
Okay.
Cody used to love Aladdin, the car, and I no offense, I think the cartoon one only because Robin Williams and how he played the your
Yeah,
exits are
yeah.
here.
All right, let's
It
get
was
back
just
to the
utterly
Disney
funny.
movies. I want to see where you're going with this.
No, she
Because you
said
watched
you
all
need
the
to be
movies?
but Bambi dies. I'm like, it's an inanimate object that doesn't actually exist.
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna cry because Bambi died. Somebody dies and Groot dies. Groot's not real. I can get to you be like, damn, that was a great character.
Well, but I'm saying when you watch movies, you engulf yourself into that world. And I guess it goes back to whichever side brain you use. I'm serious, man.
I get it.
Look, I got fucking Lando
All
back here.
right.
Okay, so
Oh, I love Wally,
it's-
John. I love that movie.
It's all
Wally.
that was a good movie too.
Love Wally.
Is that little robot,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, that was kind of sad too. It had its sad parts too.
Someone.
Love that
okay.
movie.
Go ahead.
Yeah,
I watch way too many movies.
And that's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, I watch.
But to say, and I wanted to hear you keep going about the Disney aspect, because if you were going to say that's a representation of you being in touch with your feelings, I really
It
want
might-
to.
No,
it
she
might
thought
be.
Disney movies were going to get one over on me. And
No,
that's-
she said he needs. I
yeah,
guess.
that would help me with my. And I've seen every Disney movie.
Okay, so
and
good.
I can't associate.
Miss Walters,
or
we
be-
know that didn't help
So-
Zach with his emotional
Yeah.
intelligence. or
But my
whatever.
emotional's fine. I mean, for me, one thing that anybody knows is my friends. We had this which I didn't say it, but growing up, which is different from me. I live and die for my friends.
No doubt.
Now don't get me wrong, your family is going to be your family, but I view that separately. You know, something happens to one of y'all or one of my friends. You know, we know somebody who lost their dad. You know, that hits me.
Yeah.
And it's not because, and I knew his dad, but I didn't know his dad, you know, extremely well. But I met him probably 20 times.
Yeah.
He was a nice man. So that is something that, yes, I felt I was sad, not because I knew his dad that well, but because I knew it was probably affecting him.
Absolutely.
So but that's my point is, you know, finding your balance that
Yes.
where you're not crying because you're not getting what you want. You know, you're having a what I consider, because I know Marvin can be, I consider a balanced emotional reaction. And crying over something just because you didn't get what you want, that to me isn't. So now we're gonna go to kids.
Now that sounds a little bit better. I think that kind of clears it up when you put it out in a phrase like that. Crying because you didn't get what you wanted
Right.
is I think that kind of clears up.
But that was
it
the
up.
example with the corny dog. It was
was,
simply
but
just because he didn't get a corny. There was no.
I don't know
other
if I've
reason.
seen anybody that's kind of small. I think, you know, for somebody to,
But
it
it's
happens.
about a balance.
shit, I ain't seen nobody
Right.
do that. But
But
I'm
it's
just,
about a balanced
Hey,
reaction.
I'm just trying to find something
I'll
that
give you
makes it
something.
resonate
I'll
to me, so I can understand. That's how learning happens.
Okay,
So
check
I'm
this
just
out.
trying.
So check this out. I'll throw one thing out there. When that
I got one.
When that Black
you go.
Friday shit first came out and people in stores fighting over TVs and all this kind of shit. Come on, bro. Like that right there make me not that alone.
And crying because they didn't get one. But now,
see what I'm saying?
ah,
And
but
then
see,
wanna
now I
get
got you,
confrontational and
motherfucker.
take
No,
someone
because I
else's-
got you. I
Come on,
got
let's
you now.
go. Let's go.
So now you have.
Why? So you don't like TVs?
No.
No.
So
That's
the
not-
last guy in line, or you know, you get down, all the TVs are going, and the guy's crying because he didn't get a TV. Maybe he can't afford a regular TV. You don't know his emotional state, Mafio.
I really don't.
And you don't know how much money he has. in
That's
his
right.
pocket.
Maybe that's the only TV he
Or-
can afford for the
or
entire
maybe
year.
he had Brewster's Millions where he had to spend all his money and they didn't have nothing to spend.
Oh,
his
I didn't
money
see
on.
that part, John. I did not cry for Wally. It was a great movie. I love Wally, but I did not cry for Wally.
Well, it was a sad movie.
So-
It had a sad, definitely had sad parts.
But I can't be sad because of an inanimate. It's not a real existence. I mean, to that movie, I make fun of, you know, the people who buy those gaming chairs. I'm like, oh, okay, now we're moving into the fucking Wall-E era. Or I see them fat motherfuckers rolling around Walmart. They're not rolling around Walmart because they crippled. They're rolling around Walmart because they're too fucking fat to get off their ass and walk through the aisle.
Hey.
Nah, man, that pisses me off. And then,
uh,
but you know what?
okay.
If they get in front of the Snickers aisle and there's fucking 5 people standing there, that fat motherfucker will jump up and go grab that Snickers.
Is something wrong with that?
Yes, there is something wrong with that.
To who?
That you
To
can
who?
you
To
can
who?
be
To
like an
whom?
Olympian,
It's something wrong with
right?
that. To who?
You can be like an Olympian and go jump and go grab that last Snickers. But you need, you know, a handicap sticker. Honestly, you need to be parking at the other. Every time I go to Walmart, I park all the way back. Why? Because I could use the walk. Why not? It ain't hurt nobody. You know, all you people rolling around them carts, y'all asses need to start parking in the back of the parking lot like you got
people
some
park-
fancy car.
Are people parking in the handicap and you're not handicapped?
But they got a
That's-
handicap sticker
That
that they got from
from their
mind.
grandmother.
that they got from their grandmother. I be having a problem with that too, as far as people taking advantage of things that they shouldn't. I don't know. I wouldn't go as far as to talk about the bigger people on the hover round stuff.
But there
I
are
do have
some
my
people.
own. I do have my own thoughts about that. I don't know how they got that way, but in some instances it is like, I think I give people benefit of the doubt sometimes. I'm like, wonder how he got there.
Well,
you know?
that's a good topic. We're
And
going to
that's
get
great.
into to doing later. But
Okay.
so
And I just want to say this, just something to think about, and put in your pocket and be mindful of sometime when you're driving or wherever you at. People's values are different. We
Okay.
value different.
we got 10
Okay.
minutes. I
10
want to get
minutes.
into the kids side of it. So, we're not going to go in the biological because that's a whole another situation. But I have 6 adopted kids, so we're gonna talk about that because I had a huge part in their lives. And all through you know, one was 17, the other one, the youngest was 5. You know, you can't really, although, you know, you help and you guide a 17-year-old, and he has said time and time again that, you know, by doing that, there were a lot of things he got help by. You know, you punish a kid, you take away a video game, so and so would start crying about it, and you're like, I don't, that doesn't, you know, you're literally crying over a video game. That's it. Stop crying. I mean, you know, now if you were crying over something, and the kids have, you know, that is something real. Somebody passed away, something happens. You don't make the team after, and see, that's another thing you can say, okay, well, that I can understand. You know, you try out for a football team, you don't make that football team, but you spent an entire summer trying to get there. Now you're seeing the effort that you put in, which that never happened with the kids, but you know, that I can understand.
Well, that was my example. That's what made me think about the corn dog incident. My first roommate when I got to the Cowboys was from New Mexico, and we had to be on the bottom end of the not the roster, but the bottom end of the rotation, I guess you could say. And he was whining. I don't know if he got tearful about us not getting any repetitions. He was like, he was really bitching, like in the room. And I was like, in the back of my mind, I was like, don't come over here crying to me. But they had to do everything with the way I was raised.
Of course.
Yeah, don't fuck all that crying. We got a job to do. You know what I mean? When your time comes, and I think that's my creed. You know, don't cry. You know, when things are not going your way, be ready when your time comes.
Okay.
And you know, that just reminded me of that guy who's like,
But that'd be different as a kid. You know, but crying over video games, crying because you're not getting your way. You know, I would.
Well, he wasn't getting his way. He was used.
Yeah,
I think
you're
he
talking
was used
about
to
an
saying,
adult, and I'm talking about kids.
Well, that's what I thought we was talking about. A grown man. He was a grown man.
No. We
you switch gears
yeah,
on me.
kind of switched because we got time.
It was at Disney.
Yeah, it was at
Okay.
Disney.
Okay.
You know, crying over video games, crying over this, and I would say, you know, you're literally crying over something. The world is, and I had a lot of parents tell me, oh, you know, they should be able to cry, and I'm like, yes, you were 100%, but you don't cry just because you're not getting your way. You don't cry because, you know, you put no effort in, you didn't get your way, and that is a lot of times you get people who think that they don't have to put any effort. And I had one of the moms say, well, that's just da-da-da-da. And, you know, her son was one of those people that would cry, you know, oh, well, I'm coming to pick you up. No, Mom, you know, 14 years old, I want to stay.
Yeah.
And that shit just made absolutely no sense to me.
To you.
It makes no sense that a 14-year-old is crying because they don't get to go, because they have to go home because mom's telling them they have to go home. It doesn't matter. You can say to me.
And he had they was arguing, the mom and the kid.
He was crying on the phone to his mom, but I don't want to come home. He wasn't making a decent argument. Hey, Mom, you know, I'd really like to stay. This is what we're doing. Nope, because I don't need philosophy about it.
But I'm serious,
the
though.
point
Like,
being-
think about it, though. Think about this. What if that kid was experiencing some type of abuse,
Dude,
some type
but
of
he
serious
wasn't.
situation
But
that
he wasn't.
you know of?
No. I knew his parents. Matter of fact, so he passed away. He had a brain tumor. He had fought through them all through seizures and everything else. Wow. His mom wanted him to come home because she knew that the boys would stay up late. So the issue is this: the boys would stay up late, which we let them during the summer, and he would have seizures and problems and everything else. So I do know this wasn't. They were great parents. I mean, they were funny. I remember they were just great people, and they had gone through a lot with him. He later died at I want to say 24 of his final brain tumor. They just couldn't. They couldn't do any. They couldn't help him anymore. So that was the phone call. So there is no, he was getting beat at home. He literally just wanted to stay, but his mom knew better, and he was crying at age 14 about it. It wasn't a reasonable reaction. He wasn't.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
He was not saying, he was not making an argument or he was not having a discussion. He was literally just crying. But I want to, it wasn't, hey mom, can I get an extra hour? Can I get the, and that's what kind of like with the Fletcher Corny dog. Hey man, are y'all gonna have some more tomorrow? Well, sure. Hey man, if I give you my name just because I stood in this line, can you help me out? You know what, man? Yes, that is a reasonable reaction rather than crying about not getting what you want. But a mom asked me one time, why do you do this? Why do you do that? And I used to tell them, I raise men, not boys. These men are going to go out and be leaders. And they have to understand you're not always going to get what you want. You're not always going to get the Fletcher Corny dog that you want. You're not always going to get the things that you desire. So you don't have a choice but to present yourself and say, hey, I'm going to blank, make a good argument. Hey, I know you guys don't have any more corny dogs. Are you going to have some later on? Do you know where else I can? I mean, that is a reasonable rather than, oh my God, I get my Fletcher Corny dog.
Now,
But you learned that at a young age, though.
But should we be teaching that?
Absolutely. You teach people how to cope.
but I
Right.
just
Getting
would like
into
to
the
ma-
nitty
I
gritty
like-
of where I wanted to end,
Yeah.
where I
and
wanted to end.
And I
this.
want to throw this statement out there, this thought of perspective. Listen, it wasn't a reasonable response in your opinion.
Absolutely.
Apparently, it
But
was
that's
a
not a
reasonable.
reasonable response. So you're telling me
It's all
that
subjective.
that
Absolutely.
So a dude crying rather than making instead of trying to
Just because it didn't make sense to you, apparently it made some kind of sense to him. If he
obviously
did
it didn't.
He cared enough.
There is no sense in you accomplish nothing when you sit there and cry about it.
No, not at all.
you
Okay, no.
I
Don't
don't
tell
think-
me.
I-
You
There
don't.
is nothing. He didn't get any more information from Fletcher's. He didn't get anything from them. He
but
didn't
he
get what
had
he
your
wanted.
attention.
No.
He had your attention.
Oh no, he had my attention for 5 seconds
What if-
when I laughed and
What if
walked
his
off.
point was to get attention? And I'm just throwing it out there. It could have been whatever, but what if it was
So
just
wait a
to get
minute.
attention?
So you think
Because it's
that
kids.
grown ass adults should be crying because they want attention,
It's very possible because he.
and
could-
that's okay.
We see it every day on Instagram.
I mean, I'm not saying it's okay for me, but
No,
I can't
just,
control
no,
him
no.
or make him what to tell him.
No,
what to
nobody's
do.
telling you to control or make him. Nobody's telling you to step up and go, "Hey man, shut up."
Bro, if they do
Nobody's
it, they
telling
do
you
it.
to do it. But my point is, even so,
You
So let's say this year I'm there and I'm standing, which I do not stand in line for Fletcher Corny dogs. They ain't that fucking special. I got some corn dogs in there if you want some.
They ain't
some,
fucking Fletchers.
It's all fucking same to me.
They
Okay,
ain't-
now
But
you go.
let's just say I'm there, and this dude ahead of me starts crying. He's not gonna get my attention. I'm gonna ignore him and be like, "Yeah, that don't make no damn sense crying over a fucking corny dog."
just that right there has your attention.
It doesn't.
because you responded.
No, because
in
you
your
think
head.
no, because
I'm
you
just-
have to remember when I walk away, the only thing that man will be to me is a joke. Do you really think that his crying he wanted to be a joke in my mind?
He had your attention when you walked
Just
away
for-
saying he
just
was
enough.
a joke.
But-
It was that much.
So
And I'm
you
just trying
think
to-
there are people out there that want the attention so people look at them as a joke?
I've seen people do some crazy shit.
Absolutely.
And it had to be for attention. If I had to have some type of logical reasoning behind it,
What if you would have
okay,
turned
that's just
around?
my perspective.
What if you, when you turned around, he was like, "What you laughing at, bitch?" Would you have kept walking? See, he got
See
you.
what I'm saying? And like I was saying,
No, you can't say he had brain cancer. This man is perfectly healthy, 100%.
So what you're doing, you're giving us scenarios.
it's
with,
literally.
yeah,
so
but
if
I'm saying
if we take everything out
for
of it,
perspective, we just talking about.
people who don't get what they want, who are
But
whining like
but
little
I'm
bitches
saying,
about it.
but I'm saying the examples you're giving, you're stripping them down, and you're giving us. If you giving us everything, you don't want.
Yeah, no, you can't imply anything
Yeah.
into it because what I'm trying to do is get a generalization of there
Yeah.
are people who cry that it's simply
Literally
because
they
they
didn't
don't get what they want.
Yeah.
That is the only thing they're crying. And I know you want to toss in there maybe their mama bought them a corn dog and it just brings
No.
back memory, but it's a simple fact There are people who cry because they don't get nothing more can be read into
I
it.
think,
And I can believe
but I
that.
think that's a little. I think the example's a little simple, a little bit too simple for for people to
But I was
grasp
trying to
over a
walk
corny
you
dog.
back. But I'm trying to walk you back into okay, where is so if I walk you into somebody is crying only because they didn't get what they want. So then how do you walk it? So for example, let's say you go to SMU, nice college, you pay a ton of money, you do all of these things, and you try to go get a job in your field and you can't find one.
And you spend all that money to go to school.
And you're going to be able to find a job, but not with not the education. If that upsets you and you were given that guidance, I can understand that.
You can.
I can.
Okay.
I can because you
I get
spent 4 years going to
I
school
get it.
in the field that you wanted to do, but you can't find a job. I mean, I knew a guy who that actually happened to. He went to school for accounting and could not find a job for the life of him. And he one day was like, man, and he wasn't full blown crying about it, but he was upset about it. And I can see
And he
that
couldn't find a job.
in accounting,
In his field of study.
specifically
In his field of
in
study.
accounting, and
Which
he
is-
was very good with numbers.
Which is
Can it
probably
count?
75 to 80% of people that attended
Yeah.
college and got a degree. But
But
I get
my he was upset about it, and I understood that. I mean, not full blown crying, but you could tell. I mean, it was affecting him. And that's one of those things. Hey, man, there's going to be an opportunity. You bide your time. You can figure it out, but you will get an opportunity. And I did. I talked him through it. I went through the whole process, and in the end, he moved on. My understanding is like 8 months later, he got a job in accounting after working at this shit company.
Okay.
And that I can understand. That's the point of there's a difference I view as crying for just because you're not getting your way and having. So just like that, if I saw a guy crying, I don't know what's going on with him. I don't know. Maybe he did go to college for 4 years, broke his butt to be a dentist and didn't get into dental school or didn't get into medical school after working all so hard to get there. That I can gauge and say, okay, I understand that there's something there. But we do have people in this day and age that literally cry because they don't get their way.
Okay. And it is what it is. And I know we're getting up on our time,
We
but
are.
I just want to say this. It comes down.
Are we?
Oh,
yeah,
man,
we
we
did
having
it.
a blast.
Flew
baby.
by.
We having a blast. But I just
Damn.
want to say this to my co-hosts and even to my listeners. Just something to be mindful of from my experience in life. Perspective. My perspective isn't always someone else's reality. So what I perceive may not be the truth. One thing. Accepting other people's values. We all value things different, and because we don't value things the same, don't turn into the people up there in the president, the White House, and Congress. And
Nah,
all
don't
these
get all
Democratic
political.
Republicans.
We're not talking about that.
But I'm saying that plays a major part in what we're discussing today because we always want to place our ideologies and our values on other people when they don't share the same.
No, which is why we got
and
3 here.
values.
Which
Yeah,
is why we put
yeah.
3 in a room, and we're gonna, the gauge from this is there are going to be people who agree 100% with you. There are going to be people who agree 100% with you. There are going to be people who agree 1% with me. But it's the same thing. It's about finding that balance between everything. Because I think you're one spectrum. I know I'm the polar opposite, and Chad kind of moves around and more towards you. But the point being is, we do this so that people can hear it and hopefully say, okay, the one thing I would hope is anybody who has boys who, as kids, you understand that kids aren't always going to get what they want, especially as they grow up as adults. And B, we need to stop raising people who act like children, because if you raise your boys to be men, they're going to lead all of these people who are acting like little babies that are not getting what they want.
And so when you raise it, and when you raise a man, it's important to give them both sides of it.
Exactly.
Like what you were saying earlier, it's okay, to have these down times where you're not feeling so well about stuff, but at some point you have to pick yourself up and push through things.
When I had a
And-
kid who was bullying people, and when we all sat down and everybody told him, and he sat outside and was crying about it. I went out there, and it was, I believe that was a true he realized how he had been affecting, and that is a perfectly good emotion to have. There's absolutely, I mean, hell yeah, you should be crying. You just found out, how you acted and how it was affecting the people that you say you love.
Okay.
So that is a good reaction.
And
All
I
right,
just like
guys.
to end on this. And this is just my field of reminder. Listen, I think it's a huge disservice for us as human beings to place any type of prejudice or our level of judgment or of morality on anyone. And I feel that
So you wouldn't put, you have no judgment for Putin bombing people?
bro, I don't know that dude.
I
his
don't know
reason
him.
behind what he do.
But-
but you're
that's them
entitled.
gangbangers up
You're
there.
entitled to your opinion. You know what I mean? I don't know exactly what he's doing. I just don't. I've never liked people who were bullies. I just never liked that. I never liked that. Especially when you talking from a safe place. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you're gonna, I'm big on. If I'm gonna die standing the fuck up. That's what I'm saying. I'm not gonna die kissing no ass.
Okay.
So I think about.
Going out like a man.
Yeah, I think about a warrior's death. I think about Leonidas when he died at
A
the
World of Warcraft death.
yeah. I
Going
think
down,
about
battling like a
let me
motherfucker.
die with my fucking gun in my hand. Let me go down. I'm not dying with my ass tied up and you.
And no more bullets in the gun. They
Yeah,
all
yeah.
gone.
Let it
I
all
get it.
out, and
I
I'm
get it.
gone. Like
get it.
Leonidas died at the end of 300, and you
Hey,
seen all the zeros.
hey.
I cried on that part. I was like,
No doubt.
beautiful.
doubt.
No, it was more so for.
All right, guys.
All right.
We'll catch you
Yeah.
on Friday.
Hey, thank you again for joining us. Man, please come back, see us. Oh, man, it's always a pleasure. Thank you and have an amazing rest of your week.